Hi guys, my name is Amit Vyas and I'm back with another episode of the Test Talk Show. Today I have with me Shreyansh.
Hi Amit,
Hey, hi, how are you?
I'm good Amit, how are you?
Great, all well, all well. Shreyansh is also a software tester in the industry, and today I'm also going to find out a lot about him, who is, where he's come from, what are his life stories, his work in software testing and others. So let's get started.
Sure Amit.
Shreyansh, would you like to introduce yourself to our guests, to
Sure.
our audience?
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Shreyansh. I come from Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh. I have been into the IT industry for about 10 years now. Currently, I work with Geo Cinemas of Viacom 18 as a QA manager. Been here in Bangalore for almost 8 years now. I did my graduation and ever since have been contributing in different ways, upskilling myself, helping out my peers or mentoring at times. So yeah, pretty much about me.
Great. Shreyansh, when you were growing up, did you think that you would become a software tester? What did you want to become when?
So aspiration wise, I wanted to be an Air Force fighter pilot
Yeah.
to begin with because that was very fascinating. So in fact, when I was in my second year, I appeared for the exam as well, failed miserably. But yeah,
Which exam was this?
this is for the Air Force that they conduct. I think post 12. So I was not aware that post 12 also they
Yeah.
have their examination. So appeared in my second year. Then so I think because so I had graduated from Lovely Professional University in Jalandhar. So they were also conducting post graduation hirings as well for tech roles.
Okay.
They also came into the system, but there were certain conditions and all for which
Okay.
you would be eligible. So I was
Okay.
not. So that was again an aspiration. That always wanted to go there, but couldn't. Coming into software test, I was not really sure. But I think after my third year, we had to choose a certain domain in which we wanted to do our final semester and do a course or capstone project. So we had multiple options like database management system, software testing was of course one, and there were a few other choices as well. AI was a booming thing back then, but it was a course as well in which we could opt for. After having discussions with my then professors, my point was which would be the most easiest of all and not time consuming, so that we could focus on getting placements. So they were like, everything is easy as long as you are interested and you study hard, everything will be easy. They're like, okay, talk to a few seniors. They were like, pick software QA or QA testing course and it'll be okay, because we used to have theory and practical. So in practical, it would be more about, they would give you a certain application and ask you to test it and then think of use cases that you are trying to write and conduct the user journeys. So that's how I actually got introduced to testing.
That's actually very nice because I've not heard of a lot of colleges that do that within the software testing space.
Okay.
There are not many colleges that have their subjects in testing. That's good that you had that opportunity.
I think that was the starting point for me. So that happened, and then in my 7th semester, luckily or thankfully, I was placed with Cognizant as a campus placement. So after we had done our graduation, within a month, I got the joining date as well from Cognizant, which was in Pune. Landed there, and it was again a random allocation from them. So it's like they have their training modules into Java, PHP, .NET, QA of course, and plethora of courses or projects that they would support. But for some reason, they pointed me and took me into QA. So like I already knew what exactly I was getting into because I had done 2 semesters of QA testing, practical and theory. So I was kind of aware what the process is, what these modules are, how do they perform. So it was a little easy move for me, getting into the QA project. And at one point, we could also bunk classes. Instead of getting into training, we would sit in the labs, try doing some sort of programming back then. So that happened, funny story again, randomly allocating into QA instead of anything else. Didn't even try to move my domain to a developer or anything else. But yeah, just moved on from there.
So see, at that time, a course was given to you, a field was given to you,
Right.
you took it up. But over the last 10 years, after that as well, were there any instances where you felt that you might be in the wrong space, you should go into a different space?
For sure. I think after my training was done in Pune, when I was in Chennai for about 6 months, after 6 months period, when most of my friends moved out of Chennai, some were in Bangalore, in Pune, different locations, different technologies. I did feel like I wanted to move out of testing for the simple reason because I was not getting enough interviews outside the Cognizant or Infosys TCS circle. I was trying to break through, move out of Chennai, because of which I was trying to appear, but because of my year like less than a year experience, nobody was entertaining me into different roles.
Yeah.
So back then, I definitely felt that maybe I should take up some course or do some programming exercise of my own, build some projects, and then start appearing in interviews. After that, not really. So once I moved out of Chennai, been in Bangalore, upskilling, learning new stuff. Since then, I've never felt the need to move out of QA.
Got it. So at Cognizant also, what kind of projects did you work in, and what was your exposure at that time to the work actually that was happening on
Very limited. It was more of learning stuff and assisting your leads and project mates. So it was about you get a project in any vertical. So I worked with telecommunication and then databases for one of the project called. So they had plethora of data. They would want us to validate, write schemas, and do sort of migration. So that was one of the large scale project which I was involved with. And use cases were pretty simple. They were not complex. You have to have a user story. You write test cases and give it to your leads. End of the day, if they are falling short of any activity, let's say execution, they'll ask you to help out. That they'll give you or allocate you some test cases. You will have to execute and give them the report. That is all the learning I had for the initial 6 months or 1 year.
So any work that you did in that time that had a large impact on your overall growth later on?
Not really. So for the first year, I was again pretty limited to myself, not exploring anything or any projects or any learning activities. It was always I was always in a mood where I was like, I have to move out of Chennai.
Yeah.
This city is not working for me. The food, the weather, and having no friends back then. So I always felt like I have to move out as soon as possible because again it was too humid, not used to of conditions. The first time you are out of north of the India and being in south of the India, it was obviously taking a toll. So I was very limited to myself. Used to go to office, wrap up the work, come back, talk to my friends, talk to family, and that's all.
Yeah. So okay, then the first year went by.
Right.
You shifted to Bangalore. What
Right.
happened next?
So once I came to Bangalore, I got into a project called which was again into telecommunication. That is where I met few of my good friends, again from north of the India, Raghavind, Rahul, and Charan. Charan, I believe, was someone who was again from Kanpur. So pretty fortunate enough to have worked with people who have been either from my city or from my state.
Yeah.
That helps a lot because it gives you a feeling that you are with
Yeah.
somebody from your
Yeah.
own place. You could
Yeah.
express
Yeah.
in mediums that you were always
True.
used to.
True.
So being with them obviously felt at ease. One, I was more relaxed, and I think 1 or 2 months down the line, I started doing the activity or daily task very actively or passionately. That okay, I'm enjoying the work, I'm enjoying the company. I used to look forward to go to the office so that I can
Yeah.
have interactions
Yeah.
other than staying in a PG room.
Correct.
So Charan was someone who was similar experience, but I think back then he was taking interviews with the director of the project at that time.
Okay.
So that was an inspiration for sure. He was a smart mind, like 2 years into the experience in industry, taking interviews, and that too for Java programming. Right back then, it felt like a big achievement for me. So that's where I draw inspiration, and I actually because again he was from same state, so I was like Sadaji, help me out as well. So he was more than kind, took me into some of his activities. So he used to go to office on weekends also, so that we could wrap up the backlog. So I started actively contributing to the coding side of aspect as well. That's where the learning started.
I think one important piece that I took from your experiences. It's very important to have the right environment around you, right?
Right.
People around you.
Right.
And as long as that is there, anybody could professionally excel.
Right.
While we all come from different backgrounds, different thought processes, different sets of friend, family, environment and all. But when we find an environment that suits some of our alignments, it I will professionally excel as well.
True. Agree to that.
And internally in Mulya also, one thing that I've seen is we have people, we put them on different projects. One person who might not be doing great on one project does really well on a different project. And there is no one short way to say whether this person is going to do good or not, because obviously there's a minimum due diligence that has to be done. But
Right.
after that, it depends a lot on the environment of the team, the people, the place, and all of it.
Agree. So apart from everyone moving around you, I think it has to be you also. Like you need to have that feeling that yeah, if everyone else or whoever you are surrounded with, if they're doing good in their own life, you should have that urge that okay, I also need to start doing more maybe, or contribute more or learn more.
Yeah.
That's the only way like all of us as a team, as individuals, as companies can
Yeah.
progress.
So again, another year went by.
Right.
Any particular learning that you had in that time, professionally, maybe work-wise,
Uh-huh.
that had a great impact on your future career?
Yes, like I said, so Charan helped me out in getting the contributions done on the coding side of aspect.
Okay.
Prior to that, it was all about writing test cases, executing,
Okay.
and getting your job done.
Okay.
But then it was more about learning how somebody was creating frameworks, how you would do it, what parameters you are considering. Obviously, at a minuscule level, not too granular or detailed, but yes, that helped.
So if there was an audience, somebody who also has say 1.5 years experience doing the same work that you talked about,
Mhm.
and for him to learn, how would you suggest? What should he do to learn this?
Um, so if like at professional workplace, you're not getting the opportunity these days of learning or contributing in any programming aspect or coding aspect, I think doing personal projects is something which one should take up, because that's the only other medium. I know a lot of times we don't get time. It's like you're too occupied at work. You wrap up your work by 6, 7, and then you have to commute back. We are again back to offices. So you might not have a lot of time or plenty of time, but weekends, if you can take out the time, invest in yourself, learn what you actually are aspirational about or passionate about. It could be anything, right? Let's say if you feel like you have worked with Java earlier or Python or any other language, you have done any sort of online courses or wrote any program or done any sort of coding activity in your past experience, try to pick up on that. Have seniors or mentors who could maybe assist you or help you out wherever you are stuck. So maybe those, or if you do not have the luxury or the time to even take up your personal projects, I think it has to be your workplace itself. Like try to be very professional, get your job done in stipulated time or early than that. And if you're left with an hour or so, maybe work on your sideline projects at the workplace itself. I know it might go against the policy, but if you're efficient enough and you can wrap up your work, I don't think any manager or anyone else will come and question you. So that's where I think, because the workplace and the environment is such, you will be more confident of achieving things, and somebody can take a look also at that point in time and give you instant feedback.
Chet, like how you were able to find a mentor in Charan. How do people find them today? What's a good way to find somebody?
I think depends. So mostly it worked for me because I was able to bond with them a part of or outside of work. That was my primary way of reaching out to them. Like I said, he was from my hometown, so I had a personal connect with him, and that's how I could open up to him. That yeah, this is where I think I lack, and I would need help, or if you could help me out with different ways. Again, you work with number of people at workplaces. It doesn't have to be someone from your own domain. Let's say if you are into QA, don't just restrict yourself from your superiors or peers. Reach out to other teams as well. For instance, if I have to quote, like in my previous work experience with, I was working with platform team there, and I had a guy named Devesh. He was what 22, 23 years old, 2 years into the industry, and he was a web developer. So for me to learn from him was tremendous achievement, I believe, because one fresh mind, contributing a lot in terms of his areas. So for me to open up and to learn how I actually can contribute in his ways and adapt QA cycles and make an efficient process out of it, that can also be a learning experience. So always seek mentorship from anyone around you, whoever you think you could open up, or they are easily available to you. A lot of times senior leaders might not be available. That's also limited. So it could be a junior to you also. It doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
need to be
Yeah.
a senior that you need to reach out for mentorship. So yeah.
I think that's a mental hurdle that you've broken with that sentence.
Right.
Like whenever we think of a mentor, we think of a person senior to us,
Right.
who can pick up that extra activity of training you. But it can be anybody.
True.
And can be a junior as well. There's nothing that stops him from doing that.
Yes.
Good, great. So yeah, you moved on from that on, and then what did you do next?
So I think I was with for a year and a half. Went through my appraisal cycle. I think similar story for everyone.
Yeah.
That's when you feel the urge of
Correct.
not doing enough.
Yeah.
There is a world outside to it.
Yeah.
But I really think I was quite oblivious to the ecosystem that existed around me. I was always limited to TCS, Infosys, or Cognizant, like HCL, being the top players. I was not aware of the startup world which was around me, the product-based companies. So one big shell to break out was move out of services to this ecosystem altogether. So that happened internally. I was trying to move out of go to another project. That's when I met someone who had joined. So I reached out to her. She was an HR, and from there I got an opportunity. I actually came down to spoke to the CTO back then. Had a few discussions in the day. I think both of our expectations met. That's when they took a call to onboard me, and that's how I moved out of and joined.
See, in the conversation here, this and previously also the conversations we had, you spoke a lot about how you reached out to people and they got connected.
Right.
Have you used LinkedIn a lot to find your next opportunities, or just network, just talk to people?
I think LinkedIn did help me. So I was reaching out to a lot of people on LinkedIn, because on career portals you will find multiple openings. But if you apply, I would have applied to like 20 to 30 odd openings back then at my experience level. But nothing was working out. Either you would not get a response, or you would be rejected for internal reasons which were not communicated across. So reaching out to LinkedIn was more personal, and you could get instant feedback that okay, we are not proceeding ahead because you do not meet criteria, or maybe we don't have an open position for you which fits the role, or they would call you, or they would be open to meet you to discuss possibilities. So LinkedIn did help for sure. That's how I reached out to the other person at and that's how I got the interview invite as well. So that definitely helped. Yeah.
Got it. Great. So what's your process like? Once you see an opening, you look for somebody on LinkedIn, or was it just happened?
So initially, I think it just worked. At times, you could call it destiny, or maybe luck, or
right
timing.
place, right time.
Yeah, could be that. So like I said, I was trying to move out of internally. I met someone who had joined, so chances of that happening was pretty low.
Correct.
So that turned out, and then me reaching out to her on LinkedIn, like connecting,
Yeah.
sending a request and asking for an interview, them not having an opportunity, still calling me to office.
Correct.
So probability of that sounds pretty low,
Yeah.
but still worked out for me. So
Yeah.
maybe I was at the right place at the right
Right.
time, like you said.
And on the other side also, that person did not know you as much,
Right, yes.
did not have the opportunity also, but she had joined a new company herself.
Correct, yes.
So for her to refer you, bring there,
Right.
is a courageous step on her side as well.
Correct, yes. So when she introduced me to Jigyasa, who actually was my HRBP back then. So because like I said, I've been fortunate enough to have worked with people from my own city or state. So she was also from Kanpur. So I felt very at ease to reach out to her, communicate across that this is what I'm looking at, be it the offer stage or be it at a very initial stage of discussing what I actually wanted and what are they offering and all. So it was a very easy process for me, because again, I met someone who happened to be from my state. Maybe if that person was from somewhere else, maybe I wouldn't have felt at ease or so readily reached out to them. I would have hesitated a bit or maybe taken my time. But that process was very instant. I connected with someone the other day. The next day I got connected to Jigyasa, and the next day I was at office. So pretty rapid, and everything fell in line.
It works when it's supposed to work.
I guess so, yes.
Great. So what do you, how was your work at?
I think it was the battleground, I believe, because whatever I was learning at contributing from my side in designing frameworks or contributing to a design framework, I think I got a chance to implement. So everything was new.
Yeah.
You had all the resources. You wanted anything, was the CTO, I believe. So
Uh-huh.
he would get you anything and everything to get the task done. So yeah, for the 3 odd months, I started contributing again. I was still referring to Charan, seeking his help as well. That Charan, I'm stuck here. What should I do? And he would help me out as well. Uh,
So moving from an enterprise culture to a startup culture, how difficult?
it was quite new,
Uh,
energetic, and how very easy process.
uh,
Like you don't have to punch 9 hours.
yeah.
Different feeling altogether. You feel
Yeah.
like okay, this is the best place to be at.
Yeah.
Irrespective of everything else around you, you are at ease the very first day. Like the moment you see nobody's punching hours, somebody is leaving at 5 on Friday, because again it was in e-commerce. We had woofers and speakers with us. Somebody would connect and start playing music. That was very refreshing in terms of the process and the organization culture wise.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously loved it. So looking forward to weekends, like Fridays. Like instead of moving out, I would love to be in office,
Nice.
enjoy with the colleagues,
Nice.
and enjoy that process itself. So that was, yes, a great move for me. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
personally, maybe some things are not working, but still,
Correct. Correct.
I was obviously enjoying and learning from that culture as well.
Got it.
That this is also a world where people do different activities. Nobody tracks you.
Yeah.
They depend on you and they rely on you on your work.
Yeah.
Everything else is taken care of.
Great. So, from the kind of work that you're doing in your first, second, initial companies and the kind of work that you're doing today, how different is that?
I think it has evolved in terms of being an individual contributor to working with a team and then managing a team. It's a little different. So now you have to be concerned about the overall contribution and growth rather than just your growth. So you have to think of 10 other people's, 10 other folks in the team, and you need to have that empathy for them as well. Like at one point of time when I was, I think 22, 23, I was seeking people in senior leadership as well, that who could help me out, find a way of how exactly to get things done and all. So that those things are always there back in the mind, because you also have a young team. Somebody is a senior engineer, somebody is a fresher, somebody is a junior. So that way it has evolved. Work wise, yes, but QA cycle largely restricts to a process. So that process has remained the same, but tools and mediums of accomplishing the task and reaching the end goal, that has changed for sure.
Do you have somebody who's elder to you and reporting to you in your team?
Right now, I won't say they are reporting to me, but still, I think they are part of my team. Maybe the paths will change in time to come, but yes, I do have senior people.
So then,
working
is
with
it
me.
is it difficult to get work done from them or easier?
It's tricky for sure, because one, you have been at a workplace for some time, you know how things work, and you are, again, somebody is depending on you or somebody has allocated the task, so you are kind of trying to get that done. Somebody new, when they onboard, they are bringing their own energy,
True.
their own thoughts, which would have worked for them in their organization, maybe for them and their team, but things might be difficult here. So when that happens internally, yes, there are instances where you take time also to make them understand that okay, this worked for you, but maybe a little calm down first yourself, so that you can make them understand. But at times, yes, it's irritating as well, because one, they have abundance of energy. You also can be at that source of energy when you go to places. But I think this is something that I've realized over time, that once you go, you should kind of understand the system around you, that organization, their culture, how things are working, how teams are organized, how do they operate, so that you can then effectively contribute in your own ways. Like rather than being in an office and think like, no, this system should not be here, this system should be there. That's just going to create chaos
I think
around
you have to
everyone.
fight that urge. When you go to
Yeah.
a new place, you will have the urge that okay,
Yeah.
this thing should change.
Correct.
But you have to
Yes.
fight your own urge and pause it for some time.
Yep.
Learn what's happening and then obviously recommend if there are any solutions.
Yep.
Better solutions.
So I think if you can understand the system and then try to prove yourself, I think that's when other people will be open to hear you out
Correct.
as well, and they will be able to accept your
Correct.
changes as well or thoughts. Other than that, it might feel like okay, you are coming from a right place for sure,
Yeah.
but maybe it's not fitting into the current
Correct.
team's culture or
Correct.
pattern of behavior. So yeah, just be open, understand. Like I said, it's easy also. It's irritating also at times.
Do you hire people?
Actively, yes.
What do you look for in those guys?
So different things. I think depending on the role. Again, technical expertise
Yeah.
you would evaluate for sure. But right now, when I go in interviews, I think I'm mostly looking for someone who has a calm demeanor. That's on a personal note for me. Like if that person can be calm enough in a challenging situation and then think through solution, I think they'll be able to handle most of the complex situations in a workplace, because at times you are running against time, you have a deployment,
Yeah.
or deployment goes wrong, you have to
Yeah.
roll back or you have
Yeah.
to push an immediate fix. We don't need someone who panics a lot, right? So if somebody has that demeanor, I think that's an added advantage. So that is obviously something that I look for. And apart from that, it's about how their experience has been. I mean, anything other than technical is what I'm discussing.
Yeah.
So if they have had a good experience in terms of diversity, like they have worked with large or even small scale complex teams or problems or products, I think that already gives them the idea of what to expect. Somebody who might not have that exposure, I think they'll be a little naive landing into the situation. So to handle them, yes, I mean obviously there are people who will come to you that ways, but I think it will take extra time or maybe extra bit of effort from you. So if somebody has maybe these factors, I obviously look for
So
them.
normally, what would you hire for? Tech, excellence, or personality?
At this stage, personality for sure. I think most of the work that we get done, you could get it. I mean, with help of AI these days, right? And Chat GPT or Gemini, I think the solutions are readily available. It's just that if you have that personality of how to integrate stuff and make it work, that will be more accountable for me. If you have sheer technical skills, obviously you will do well in your life and in your career. But to fit around with people, because it's a team game end of the
Correct.
day, you are not
Correct.
just alone. There are different rules for that.
Correct.
But working with a team, you need to have that mindset that no, it's other than you, and it's a large group that you have to be focused towards, and then think of how effectively you can contribute.
So also one more thing is within your team, and this is also at the team level and at the personal level also, new learnings at a personal level. How do you do that? What are some of your sources, and how do you get it done for your teams as well?
Okay, so maybe I'll refer my previous experience, previous workplace experience. I was working at prior to this, and I had a team of two. I was working with platform teams, which were like backend, web, and app, and I had Gaurav and Rani with me working there. So learning opportunities were in abundance because you have anything and everything that the company has to offer. So be it from an Android application to a web application to your backend systems, if the delivery has to happen, it has to go through you. Because one, you are not focused about the product. We had a different team which used to focus on that. So then it opened up a scale where you know some things, but there are a lot of things which you need to first learn and then unlearn so that you can move to other platform as well, right? So that's one way of learning at the job on the go, like which vertical or which horizontal you get assigned to. If you have had that opportunity in the past, maybe you would know already. But things like working with the pipelines, right? So one is you integrating the CI/CD checks of testing. One is owning that whole pipeline, right? Like taking that call that somebody does a review, then review gets to you. You have a develop branch and master branch, and then you taking that ownership. Okay, this is when I want to deploy, right? This is when I need my test cases to trigger. This is when exactly it should trigger, and at the same time you're working with product to understand what are they trying to push
Yeah.
and how you are
So I
going to
think
build the regress check.
when you're a downstream engine, you have to learn a lot. There are
Yes.
so many upstream engines that are sending
True.
data. How do you know which one is not right?
Yep.
Good. So, and then for your teams, so obviously learning on the job is there.
Correct.
Do you do any explicit learning other than that?
At times, yes. So this was one way. Like I would first try to achieve things, get the task done, and then allocate similar tasks to the juniors as well. Like for 100 pipeline, I did some activities that okay, this build has to compile, this has to go through S3 bucket, somebody needs to pull and then trigger test. The test has to go through a webhook URL of Slack and ping these commands that parse the results and all, and then give those tasks for web to other members as well, so that they also have the opportunity to learn. So this is on the go.
Yeah.
But apart from that, you need to do your own cycle. So those are like personal projects, and these days these are pretty simple. So I'll give you one example that I have to do. I think we all would have done in all our workplaces is at the time of year end we are supposed to upload different documents, right? Most of them accepts JPG or PNG files. Some of them accept PDFs. So that's a very regular task on day to day. What people will do is go to a browser, convert a JPG file to PDF, right? There are libraries. So what I would do is personal project, write a simple Bash script or a Python script which could take a directory, all the names which are there of JPG files, convert into PDF. It's saved, right? Saving you time end of the day.
Correct.
So these sort of projects are something that I do. I think recently we had a challenge that we wanted to have a rotation based shift. One is you create Excel, you write name and do stuff, right? But then there will be challenges, somebody will take off, somebody will not. You have to monitor times and all. So then it's like you write a basic script again in Python where it will auto populate a script on a weekly basis. It will give you a Excel sheet or desired tabular format that okay, these people should work in this shift, consider these parameters. So that's also one way of learning, right? That you can continue doing your side projects, always open up to different scripting languages as well. So that's how I do these days.
And for the teams?
Apart from work, like I've stayed in touch with few people, few of my ex-mentees. So whenever I could help them out in terms of references, any guides that they're stuck with. Recently, I've also joined TopMate, so people who have reached out to me, I have helped them with resources. That this is something that they can. I always give them personal experience to them. I share it with them as well. That this is what I'm doing. Are you also battling with same stuff at your work? Maybe try to get this done. Like I can give you the script, but it's better if you try it on your own.
Correct.
One, it's a new horizon for you, so you're not used to of Bash, you're not used to of Python. Maybe do it on your own. Once you do it, you will get some confidence, and you can maybe look for complex problems. Then. So
if somebody were to find you, look at you as a mentor, how can they do that?
Reach out to my LinkedIn. I think that's where I have my TopMate profile. So my DMs are open. I mean, free of cost. If you have basic queries, reach out to me. I think that's the most number of queries I receive. Other than that, I think I am helping them do a review of their interviews. So that is something that I offer right now. And the second thing is exploring your career path. Like if it is working for you, what is your challenge? Where would you like to go? If you have those sort of queries, that's where you can reach out. Those two are something that I have kept at a charge, because again, I am going to invest my time, and I think I would want to connect with someone who is serious about their questions as well. Not having anyone and everyone come to me. So that's just a filter for me. If you want anything to be addressed, just reach out through a DM.
What do you do outside work? Outside all of software testing and everything, what do you do other than that?
So I've recently got married. So
you have enough work at home.
Yes, there are a lot of deliveries that happen these days, and apart from like after work, I'm trying to go out, but these days Bangalore weather is not so pleasant. So that's a bummer as well. But yeah, I mean, before that, of course, I was staying with my friends, so we would occasionally go out, go play cricket early in the morning. So at workplace also, few of my ex-colleagues have also onboarded. So we are still connected through the previous workforce and our colleagues. So we go to cricket also at times on weekends if we get time. Other than that, sometimes I read and I think it's more of what not having that clarity also, that also helps. Like at times I would feel like going to a cafe eat, so I would just go. At times I would want to be at home and rest, because again of the cycle that I have been through. So these days I'm almost relaxing at home.
Nice.
Once I think the IPL is done, I think I would start exploring new places or joints at Bangalore.
Yeah.
And then also whatever. So I used to go to bowling before this a
Okay.
lot.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe I'll give that a try as well.
See, now that you've done 10 years, so much, it's a long time.
Yes.
What do you want to do going forward?
Uh,
So before you say that, what keeps you going in what you're doing today?
I don't think I have an answer to that. I mean, I honestly do not.
Money.
Yes, that's a factor for sure. I mean, that's the whole reason I am out of my hometown, right? If I wanted to, I could have stayed back with my dad, taken up his civil construction work, and made money there also, and have had all sort of luxuries and commodities at place itself, like staying with parents and all. Money is a factor for sure, but right now I think it's more of company and the network that you would want to be in, because again there is a limit to which you could also grow.
Yeah.
So what can help me go to that next level? I don't know what next level would be at this point, right? Having a team, working with such a large scale company, that's itself a big ask.
Correct.
Like to fulfill that on a day-to-day basis, that's also a challenge. So as long as I'm feeling challenged, I think I would be here. The day I feel like
Not
it's
challenging
done,
enough.
either I'll move out or I'll completely drop off the IT. One thing that I have passionately done in past and today also is also cooking.
Okay.
So for
So next
someday,
is a cafe.
yeah, someday for sure. But yeah, you never know. So
True.
that is obviously something I would go back to whenever I am done, be it like tomorrow or a decade from now. So
Nice.
that's the next step somewhere in future.
What would be your message to our audience? If there's a new person who wants to get into software testing, what should he be expecting? She be expecting? How do they break into this?
I think largely what I've observed or heard from people, having worked with different organizations, a lot of people do look down on the QA vertical as resources, not having expertise or skills in coding. Maybe it's time like you don't think personally on that front. That's a stigma for sure. Don't cater to it, right? And then only get into it if you feel like you actually want to understand how the user experience is, how you can make it better, why is this way, why should it have been the other way. If you feel the urge and the need to question these things on a daily basis, right? Let's say I think these days you might have heard a lot of articles saying why WhatsApp is going green, right, instead of blue, why they are changing the design language and all. So if you have had those urges and you feel that this is the area where you can contribute, maybe yes, you should get into it. But if you just want to get into the line of work, I think it will consume you, because this is not an easy task, right? A lot of time the blame game is there. People will come back to you and ask you like, why did you do this? And they'll also ask you to prove your worth as well. Like, show me the test case, when was it executed, which aspect was it done and all. So it's a challenging process for sure. But yeah, once you get into it, I think it's about understanding why you first of all took that journey. And if you have taken it up, maybe you always think of doing the next best thing for you. Like if you are doing QA, manual QA today, there are different aspects within the QA, right? I think more of us do functional. Within functional itself, there are a lot of aspects, right? Just more than UI UX, there is a lot to the system itself. So get used to that. And when you are doing that, maybe try to do to the best of your ability and whatever help is around you. Once you do that, maybe think of other horizons as well, like look into the non-functional. It's a pretty big space, right? I think a lot of time when we are doing QA, there is a team which might be doing load testing, right? And we have no clue like what's load testing, why are we doing this? Like every company does this these days, right? You might have heard that your company does so, but you have no clue. right? Reach out to them, understand, maybe try to contribute. You might not get the opportunity, but try to do it at a local level.
Correct.
So a lot of things will work for you if you are trying to do it yourself at a local. Once you have done that enough, that's where you will have the confidence to walk up to your leader or manager and say, boss, I also want to give it a try, because resources are available to everyone.
Correct.
I think internally all the companies are documenting
Correct.
and having references to every activity that happens in a company. So feel free to reach out to them, read through, understand articles. When you are working for a product, try to understand that product instead of just limiting yourself to the scope of your work, right? I think that's where we limit also. Like my aspect is just the login bit of my functionality. Why should I even think of sign up, right? Or why should I even think of add to cart? A very simple problem. But if you can think of add to cart and then check out, I think that's where it will open up a vast experience cycle for you.
Correct.
And you will be able to contribute to maybe a review of test cases. You can point out, no, this should be something that should be added. Once you start giving contributions apart from the line, I think people will notice for sure. You will also get enough opportunities then.
I think software testing as a whole is a very mentally challenging job, obviously, but an emotional roller coaster as well, where you have to constantly prove your worth, keep learning, keep growing, keep showing why you are good. But that may not be required of other people in other roles, but here at least it's 100% needed for whatever reasons. But so yeah, if somebody feels passionate enough, if you look at something and have that inclination of testing it, then you should definitely give it a shot and try to see if you can become a good software tester.
Definitely, yes.
Great, thanks, Shreyansh. Nice talking to you. Nice knowing about you, your life journey, and I'm sure a lot of people who would watch this segment would learn a lot from it. Would want to reach out to you also to know more about your life journeys and how they can leverage some pieces of that. Great.
Thanks, Amit, for calling me, and always available for people who are actually seeking for help and trying to reach out.
100%.